Last week we were here and Pastor Kyle did a fabulous job talking about fear, so much so that I feel guilty. I need to confess to you all that I have more than just the little kid kind of fears of being afraid in the dark. Mine go probably beyond Kyle's 4 stages. I'm thinking probably a whole lot more beyond Kyle's 4 stages. I am absolutely terrified of snakes. Can't stand them at all. They drive me crazy. I don't like them, never have, never will. The problem with that is I love going to the ranch. That's where I like to go work. We like to be out there, but you'll never see me out there in sandals or flip-flops or shorts. Got to have my thick, heavy blue jeans on, got to have my tall boots on. I go out there all the time. We go out there and we work. And that's where God speaks to me, usually, when I'm listening. We were working one day, unloading logs that we had sawed from a tree that had fallen, and we were stacking them up in the wood pile. And Terry and I were both pulling things off the trailer and loading things up, and we're carrying some of them that are really big, and we're splitting them, so we're straddling and trying each to carry one end, and we're loading them into the wood pile and running back to the trailer and loading them. And out of the corner of my eye, I see something move. Snake! I would love to tell you guys I was very gracious about it, that I was very grown up about it. Man, I squealed like a little girl. Jumped up on top of the trailer in one fell swoop, up over the side up onto the trailer with the logs, and I'm dancing jig, trying to, snake, 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 snake. And my husband pulls out his gun and he shoots it. Shoot it again, shoot it again, shoot it again. I don't like snakes. And he's like, sweetie, I killed it. And I'm like, it's still moving. I'm telling you, kill it again. So dutifully, wonderful husband that he is, he shoots it several more times. I love that man. I love that man so much. There were 2 snakes trying to make more snakes. Apparently, they were Twitter-pated. My husband killed both of them. And as custom in our family, we shoot first and identify it later. They were copperheads. So I was very, very grateful that God protected us because, as I said, we had been stepping across them for I don't know how many times. They were apparently too busy to notice us. I'm glad y'all can laugh about that. It still gives me the willies. I do not like snakes. I really, really don't. And it is, like I said, way beyond being afraid of the dark. But it's about the fear that I've carried too far. Because I've let it control things for me, and I've made judgments about all of them. Because I promise you, the thing at the house, you can almost see it carved into the side of the trailer. Only good snake is a dead snake. They're all gone. I'm going to shoot them all. And after the dancing of the jig that I did on the trailer, I told my husband, I'm like, I want my own gun. And I don't want an automatic or semi-automatic like you have because they jam. I want a revolver. And they only make them with 6. So I'll show you this picture. This is me now at the ranch. That's my gun strapped to my hip. I don't go out without it. Unless I'm on the tractor, and then it's just, too cumbersome. But I'm up high enough on the tractor, I don't have to worry about them. I just mow right over them. But yes, I will shoot them on sight if I see them. I know you're laughing. I'm like, yeah, I just don't like snakes. And I never have. Even when I was little, I didn't like them. And you'd see them on TV. Do you remember the Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom? Hated it when they had snakes. Oh my gosh, hated it when they had snakes. And I love Disney. And Disney does a beautiful job, but even Disney's Snake from the Jungle Book, Kaa, I don't like him. Never have. Nope, I don't like them. They're all bad. I didn't like the snakes in Rikki Tikki Tavi. They were awful. I didn't like any of those snakes. I didn't like the snakes in Indiana Jones. No. I was like, why does it have to be snakes? Couldn't they have left them off the ark? I'm just asking. So in my fear, I didn't want our kids to get hurt by snakes. And I never sat them down and said, you need to be scared out of your mind about snakes. I didn't do that. But we told them, don't ever touch them. Don't go near this. Don't go near that. And if you're going to be around there, you have to wear boots and you have to do this. And, you don't pick up things and stay close. Because we don't do snakes. Because they're bad. And they're dangerous. And they're going to get you. I've never been bitten by a snake. But the fear still remains. And I started thinking about it. My mother is afraid of snakes. My grandmother was so afraid of snakes that when I went out when I was a little bitty and brought back in a nice big fat red wiggler worm, earthworm, she screamed up and down that I had brought in a baby rattlesnake into the house. And I'm like, I don't even know which end is the one that's supposed to bite me. I mean, they're just, you touch them and they just move, But that fear has been passed from one generation to the next, even though no one ever sat down and said, you need to be scared. It still got passed down. And it's in there, and it's ingrained in there, and just talking about them still gives me the heebie-jeebies. I don't like them. But God saw fit to give me an absolutely amazing daughter who loves animals. She does. And we took her to the zoo all the time, but we avoided like it was the plague, the entire herpetarium. Never even went near it. No, you don't want to see what's in there? Here are the cute fuzzy things over here. We're going to see all of those. And Elizabeth loved all of the animals except for the reptiles. She goes to A&M. She gets her zoology degree. She gets a job at her ultimate favorite place in the world, her dream job at SeaWorld. And SeaWorld is an amazing place, and she loves it dearly. But when you first start out at SeaWorld, you start off at the bottom. Quite literally, the bottom. And she cleaned all of the bottoms of all the habitats for all the critters. And when she got promoted to get to be an animal ambassador, she got to work with the insects. And then that was like the emperor scorpions and the tarantulas and all the creepy crawlies that Mama doesn't like either. So we didn't visit very much until she got promoted again. And she got promoted from the insects to the reptiles. And I think Haley's got another picture for me. And if y'all don't like snakes, don't look. The little tiny one that weighs about, well, that the snake weighs almost as much as her, that one's my little girl. That's Elizabeth. And her friend is holding up the back end of the snake. But my daughter has the business end. That thing is humongous and could squeeze her in two. But she worked past her fear because she so wanted to get to be with all of God's creatures, and the only way to get to the cute fuzzies was to go through the big nasty slimies, the creepies. And she did it. There was a whole lot of praying. Oh, my stars and garters, there was a whole lot of praying. And there was a whole lot of work that she did. And she pushed past those fears. And she kept pushing past those fears. And she learned new things. And she learned that not all snakes are bad. In fact, actually, they do a tremendous amount of good. They keep the rodent population down. And some snakes, like the king snake, actually eats rattlesnakes. I didn't know that, did y'all? I didn't know it either. Baby girl knows. And she pushed past all of those fears, and she worked with them every day. And now she's handling them. And more than she's handling them, she has gotten so over her fears, she actually likes the things now. And she has taken, and Haley's got another picture for us, she is now taking those same snakes that just totally creep me out, and no, I don't touch them, even when she's holding them. But now she's trying to share them with a whole new generation so that they don't have to be afraid of the snakes. And it's beautiful, and it's wonderful, and I'm so proud of her because she made a conscious choice to go past the fear and get some real facts and understand. Now, she still has a healthy respect for them. She's got a real healthy respect for them, but she's not afraid, and she's not letting fear control her emotions or her actions. Because Timothy in 2 Timothy, by the way, I have misprinted it in your bulletin. Please forgive me. It's 2 Timothy 1:7. Says, "For God did not give us a spirit of fearfulness, but one of power and of love and of good judgment." Baby girl has shown me that, and she continues to show me that. But I started thinking about my disdain and fear and hatred of snakes and how it parallels what seems to be going on here in this country. Because we've let fear of the unknown or fear of something that's different control us. And we're not getting the facts, and we're snapping to judgments because of stuff we've seen on television or in books or in movies and a few bad cases on the news. We don't have to do that. We can choose. We can choose. We can choose fear, or we can choose faith. We can choose contempt, or we can choose compassion. We can choose apathy, and it is a choice. Rush was right. Even if you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice. And apathy is not a good choice. But instead of apathy, we can choose action. We can choose. It sounds so simple, but it's hard. Simple doesn't mean easy. Simple is hard. But doing the right thing usually is hard. So when all of this happened this past week, and it's not that it hasn't happened before, but when it happened this last week, it was different for me. It hit different. Maybe because I was working on a sermon. Not this one. Never is. I think God likes to watch me squirm. Usually about 3 days before I'm supposed to deliver a sermon, he goes, "Let's change this." And so we did. But he was right. He always is. Let's change this. It doesn't have to be this way anymore. We don't have to stay in our bubbles or in our routine ruts that have gotten so deep because we keep walking the same path and talking with the same people and doing the same things, so much so now that we have a rut. The sides are so tall we can't even see over the top of anymore. And we're comfortable in that rut because it's nice and snug and it fits and it's familiar and we know where we're going. But there's a whole world going on all around us. James says, faith without works is dead. If we believe that we are all created in God's image, every single one of us, doesn't matter what color, doesn't matter what type, doesn't matter what political party, doesn't matter what socioeconomic status, doesn't matter if they're Texan or not, doesn't matter what their religion is, it doesn't matter any of those things. We are all created in God's image. Every single one of us. So why can't we love each other? Why can't we respect each other? Why can't we reach out and just lay a hand on somebody's shoulder? Go visit with them. When all this happened, I reached out to some friends of ours who are black. I don't like to say that because I've always thought, well, we're not supposed to see color. And my friend told me, she goes, no, I want you to see color. I'm proud of my black. I like my black. I like your white. I like the blue on the police officers. Black, white, and blue can exist together. And that's all good. And we need to respect and we need to love each other. But we need to understand what they go through. And we need to understand ways that we can find to hear them, just to listen with them. I went and talked with her all day yesterday afternoon. Called a few other friends of ours, one who's, again, black, and her husband is a long-time 30-year police officer down in Austin. She's a prosecutor. She says, I know what it's like from all sides. I know what it's like to be a prosecutor, to see what goes on in the courts, to see the evil that comes through there. And there are people that need to be in jail. There are people that are justified for the police to shoot. But she said, I also know what it's like to be the wife of a police officer, to wonder, is he coming home today? Is he coming home? Catherine also told me, she said, I know what it's like to be the mother of 2 black boys. One who's getting ready to go off to college, who's driving now, and she says, every time he leaves the house, every time, I wonder, I worry. It shouldn't be that way. So I asked him, I said, what can we do? What can we do? Because we've been sitting on opposite sides throwing stones at each other for so long. We're casting stones back and forth, blaming each other. We got this mound of stones in between us now. And again, we have a choice. We can build a wall, or we can build a bridge. I want to build a bridge. We need bridges. So how do we do that? How do we build a bridge in this climate and in this state of fear? And I asked my friends, what can I do? What can I do? How can I build that bridge? She said, you have no idea what it means that you will just come and sit with me and talk with me and listen and understand. Just pray with me. Just love me. I said, yeah, I can do that. She said, come worship with me at my church. I said, I can do that. I can do that. We can do that. Can't we? Will we? We started off the sermon with fear. And I've got another one I'm going to end with. My big fear is this is going to be like 9/11, where everybody ran to church in droves, and they flooded the church buildings. People that had never been in church before. And they stayed every week for a couple of months. And then they got back in that same narrow rut of the familiar. And they didn't change. I don't want that to be this way. I want to be out of that rut. I want to change. And I don't want anyone to leave here unchanged. Because we have a choice. And I hope you will choose with me to reach out, to listen, to love. And maybe go down the street and worship at St. John Baptist Church. I went and visited with them last night too. And they're just as eager to visit with us as I was to visit with them. And yeah, they're Baptist, but it's the same Bible. And it's the same God. And they love him just as much as we do. So if I'm not here on Sunday morning, I hope you'll forgive me. I'm going to be down the road a little bit. I hope you'll join me.